Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going to be continuing on this hexagon cardigan that we are making. I have already done 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. I'm going to take this stitch out and show you how I add another row. If you need stitch markers, grab some stitch markers. You're going to maybe need some scissors. In any crochet project, you will probably need scissors. And then I am using a 6mm hook, but that doesn't mean you have to use one. You can go by the recommended hook size from your yarn label. Usually all yarn labels will have a recommended hook size if you're doing crocheting. I am using a medium 4-weight yarn. I have a variety of yarns here. So this is a big twist that I'm going to be adding on. That was a red heart. This was red heart, obviously. And then I have a big twist color here. And then I have a Craft Smart. These are all like random skeins that I have random dye lots. So I'm going to be adding on these colors to this cardigan. All right, so I'm going to show you how I add the colors on. So when we finished the row that we were doing, we left off with this stitch right here. And then we were connecting to this chain 3 that we started this row on. So that's going to be happening for all of your rows. You're going to be ending and you're going to be either being the last stitch or the first stitch, depending on where this chain 3 is. So where we had started this chain 3 and then worked over here into this next side space, then that counted as our last double crochet that was in the last cluster that we were doing in this entire row when we finally got there. All right, so we are here, and what we need to do is go in here and pick up our new yarn. So if you are a beginner, I'm going to show you how to change colors yarn, change your yarn colors. So we have done 2 double crochets, and we're at the point where we're going to go with a slip stitch into here, and normally we would pick up our yarn right there and pull it through, but we're going to pick up our new color. So whatever stitch you are doing at the very ending, like the last part before you pull the color through, that's when you're going to change your yarn color. All right, so I'm going to start using the sage green color. Again, this is from like a dye lot, a project that I needed a certain amount of yarn in the same dye lot number to get the color shades right. And maybe this was a little extra, so this is not going to match anything that I need to do. And I think it's going to be cool using 2 different greens and 2 different blues. We'll see how it works out. I had a tan too, but I decided not to use it. All right, so we have our hook, and we have inserted our hook into the top of that chain. All right, so we count 1, 2, 3. All right, and if you're not changing color, you're just going to do the same thing, but you're just not going to grab this yarn. You're going to grab your working yarn that you are working with. All right, but I have already cut it off here, and we're looking at this new yarn. So you always want to leave a tail when you are adding in a new color. So leave a tail, all right, because you're going to need to weave that in. All right, so what you're going to do, the very last part of the stitch is hooking the yarn and pulling it through. So we've hooked on our new yarn, and we're just pulling it through. It's a slip stitch. Okay, now what I do is I turn my work over. And let me cut this one because I don't need such a big long tail on that green one. I'm going to just tie some knots here so it doesn't come loose. Now you can do it any way that you want to. This is how I like to do it. Just tie a couple knots there on the back. It's not going to show. All right, so here we have our work here. So don't get confused and start working with your tails. So your tails are going to be hid behind here, and you can even crochet over them. So if you want to crochet over your tails, you're going to grab them with your hand back here, and you're just going to put them so they're right behind where you're going to be crocheting, and that will help hide your ends a little bit until you go back and weave everything through. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3. We're going to keep continuing on with our pattern. Now, once we chain 3, we're going to look at it and decide, okay, is this going to be the first stitch or the last stitch? All right, so we're right over a side space right here that we're going to need to put some double crochets. All right, but this one is going to count for our first one. And we know that because the chain 3 that we did on the previous row is counted as the last one, so it's always going to alternate. So if this counted as the last one, then this is going to count as the first one. You can do it by that way, or you can tell that, see this space right here that I need to make my double crochets? This chain 3 is way over to the right. Now if it was way over here, we would know that it would count for the last one, but it's way over here, so it's going to count for the first one. All right, if it was here, we'd be going into here. I hope that makes sense to you. So you can either look where you've come up with your chain 3s before, and they're just going to alternate. This one counted as our last one, so one is going to count as our first one. All right, and if it counts for your first one, then you're going to put your double crochets. We're always going to the left, because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, I have no idea what you do. So let's just continue from where we are. All right, so I'm going to get some of my two tails that I have, and I'm going to hold them with my fingers like that underneath, and I'm just going to crochet right over them. All right, so we've already done 1 chain 3. That counts as our first double crochet, so we're going to put 2 more double crochets here. Okay, and we're going into this next side space. Now, I'm not going to carry my yarn anymore because that's going to leave this big spot back here. So I'm just going to drop my tails and I will sew them in. I will weave them in later. So we're going to load up our hook and we're going to do 3 double crochets right here in this next side space. 3 double crochets in here. I'm trying to go nice and slow for beginners, okay? And you can always speed up or slow down the video in settings, and if I'm going too fast, you can always stop at any time and catch up. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into this corner area. All right, so we're going to put 3 double crochets. If you think you've caught that yarn fiber, just do this stitch again. All right, so we did 3 double crochets. Now we need to do chain 3. And now we're doing 3 more double crochets in that same hole. I'll move that yarn a little bit so I have some more working room. Okay, so again, to recap in that corner, we did 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. It's the same thing in each corner. And see how pretty this is? It's almost like a ombre. All right, and as we turn our work, now this is a side. See how this corner is, the corners are always going in a point right over one another. The side, see how this is a side? It's flat. All right, so these are our sides. All right, I'm not putting any chain or anything in between these sides. Now, one thing I should have mentioned in the very beginning, on these corners, you can choose to do 1 chain, 2 chain, 3 chain, wherever you prefer. The more chains you put, it's going to give you more drape. It's a looser look, okay? If you like a tighter look, you might want to do 1 chain. But either way is fine. You could do 1, you can do 2, you can do 3, but you have to be consistent. So all of your corners have to have the same amount. If you choose to do 1 chain, then these are all going to have to be 1 chain in every single corner. If you choose 2, you have to use 2 chains in every single corner. 3 chains in every single corner. So pick one and stick with it and write it on your label so you know how many you're doing. Now, some people, if they choose to do 1 chain here in the corner, some people choose to do a chain 1 between every cluster on the sides, and I think that's just too confusing. So with my cardigans, usually I will do 2 chains. I have done one with, I did all usually I do 3 chains. I have done one with 2 chains. All right, and it just makes it's not as loose. So if you like a nice loose look, then you're going to do the 3 chains. And again, you need to decide before you start, and then just make them all that number. I hope that makes sense. All right, so we're going into this side. We have a side here, and a side here. Each side we're going to put 3 double crochets in each side space. Like that. I'm going to put 3 double crochets in the next side space. Three double crochets in the next side space. All right, so that's what it should look like. Okay, so we're at another corner. So the corners always have 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. All right, so we're going to put 3 double crochets. Chain 3. And then 3 double crochets. Okay, so it should look like that. So that's our corner. 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. The corners are always right on top of one another. All right, and I have a factory knot here. That's a factory knot. I'm going to see how this lands, and depending on how it lands, I might get to leave it, or I might have to cut it out. We'll see what it looks like when I use it. If it falls in the back and it's not noticeable, I'll leave it. And if there it is right there, see it is coming right there. So let's just see what it looks like when I do the stitch. And yeah, you can see it right there. So that's going to stick up and bother me. See how that factory knot is just showing? Sometimes they don't show, and sometimes they do. So this is another tip, is when you see a factory knot like that, just cut it out. And then make sure you leave a tail so you can weave in these ends so they're not visible. All right. All right, so let me just go back and finish up that corner there that I pulled out. All right, we're going to go into here with 3 double crochets. And it might be a little difficult for you beginners to sort of crochet over that knot, but you can just play with your yarn and hold it and try to hold that back there so it's out of your way. And then you can just weave the ends in later, because they're in the back. We're not flipping our work back and forth. We're working on the front. All right, so this is going to be our back. So all of this stuff, messy stuff, can be back here, and we will hide that later. See all the ends where we're changing colors? That's all in the back, and you can just weave those in later. We're going to be, I think what I'm going to do is 2 rows of each color. Okay, so we finished this corner one, so we have 2 more to do. So this is our next corner. 3 double crochets, I mean not corners, side space, 3 double crochets in our next side space. All right, so now we're going into another corner. So we're going to do 3 double crochets. And then we're going to do chain 3. And then 3 double crochets. All right, we finished that corner. All right, we're turning our work. Again, this is another side. And we're putting 3 double crochets into each of these side spaces. Next space, 3 double crochets. Three double crochets in the next side space. Okay, so now we're at another corner. So we're going to be doing 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. All right, that's our corner we just finished. All right, so again, we're at another side. So we're going to do 3 double crochets in each side space. Three double crochets in each of these side spaces. All right, we're looking at another corner here. So we're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 3. All right, and then 3 double crochet. So in all of your corners, it's going to be 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. All right, that's our corner finished. We are going into all of these side spaces with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3 spaces. Next one, 3 double crochets. Next space here, 3 double crochets. So let me know if you are a beginner and this is the first time that you are trying to do a hexagon cardigan. Let me know how you are doing. And if you're not doing well, let me know what part is tripping you up. Okay, so we just did our side. All right, and so we're at another corner. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets into the same space. finish that corner. All right, so we're at the beginning again. So we have this space to do. Now if we look in the space after it, we've got 3 double crochets because we've got our chain 3, our initial chain 3, and we've got these 2 double crochets. That counts as 3 double crochets in this space. So we have this space that just needs 3 double crochets, and then we'll slip stitch to join. All right, so a slip stitch is you count 3, 1, 2, 3 to get up to where we need to do it. All right, we're going right into that stitch with a slip stitch, so you just insert your hook. All right, it's going to go through that entire stitch. And then you're going to loop your yarn and pull through that stitch. And then you're just going to pull through the loop on your hook, and that joins them, okay? So every time we finish a row, we sort of do a little recap here. So let's see what we have so far. All right, and if you will notice, see how it's getting harder and harder. By now, we can't really flatten it down. All right, it's not flattening down well. That's what we want, so don't think you're doing anything wrong. It's going to get more and more harder to flatten it down. So what we're going to do is turn it to the back, so the back is facing you. And we're going to grab 2 opposite sides and fold them together, right? And then fold the other corners together where they are, and see how this is making sort of an L shape. That is your cardigan. All right, and when I sew this together, I always put the side that has all of the color changes, that's underneath the arm. That's how I do it. So everything that's messy is underneath the arm, where no one's ever going to see that. Whereas if I put everything here, maybe when you opened up your cardigan, you would see the messiness taking it on and off. But underneath this arm, no one's going to be seeing that by accident. All right, so at the end of this, you're going to make 2 exactly the same, and you're going to have the other one over here facing this way. All right, so there is your little cardigan started. So it's coming well. If you've gotten this far, let me know. All right, so we are going to change after every 2 rows. You could change your color after every single row if you wanted to, but that leaves more ends to sew in. So we're just going to do a color change after 2 rows, and that won't be as bad. All right, so just pull your hook so it's down by the end of your stitch. We're going to chain 3. So each row you're going to chain 3 when you start a new row. All right, so looking at this, if you are confused, so if we're following up our chain 3 that we've made for all of these rows, the last one we did counted as the first one for this one. So this one is going to count the last one. So we're going to continue by going over here first, and then when we come back around, when we're putting our double crochets in front of this one, this chain 3 is going to count as our last double crochet into this side space. And we're going to have 4 side spaces on each row on this side, on this row. Okay, so insert your hook into there, the chain 3 space that you did. That's going to count as the last double crochet for this space. So we're not going to put any more in here because this one counts as the last one. So we're going to go over here to the next side space. We're going to with 3 double crochets. Then we're going to go into the next side space with 3 double crochets. So each side space gets 3 double crochets, except for your start, and then that'll only have 2 plus your chain. Okay, so then we're at a corner. So we're going to go 3 double crochets. Chain 3, and then 3 more double crochets. All right, that's our corner finished. All right, so we're going into our side. All right, we're gonna have 4 side spaces on this row. So every side space is going to get 3 double crochets. Yeah, we've got one more side space here. So 3 double crochets in each of those side spaces. All right, so we're at a corner, so we're going to be putting 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets in that corner space. So that's 3 double crochets. Now chain 3 and then 3 double crochets. All right, that's our corner that we finished, and we're going to be turning into another side here. So we're going to put 3 double crochets in each of these 4 side spaces. All right, we've got one more side space here, so 3 double crochets in here. And then we're going into this corner, so that's what our side should look like. We're going into this next corner here with 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. All right, that's our 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. Okay, so we just finished that corner, and now we're going into 3 double crochets here. All right, we're working on a side, so each side whole space is going to have 3 double crochets. Again, if I'm ever going too fast, you can just pause the video, or you can adjust the speed in settings. One more side space here, 3 double crochets. All right, so there's our side with three double crochets in each of those side spaces. All right, we're at our next corner, so we're going to put 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. Something didn't work out right. Let me go back. All right, so there's our corner. All right, corners are always stacked right on top of one another, facing out like arrows. All right. All right, so when you turn, there's your next side. So 3 double crochets into each of those side holes. All right, we did 3 double crochets there. We're going to do 3 double crochets in each of these side holes, side spaces. That's our last side space here, 3 double crochets. Then we're going to go into another corner here. So we're going to have 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. All right, so that's our corner we just completed. All right, when we turn our work, here is another side. We're going to be putting 3 double crochets into each of those side spaces. Okay, and now we're going to be going into this corner. That's what your side looks like. So this next corner is going to be 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. All right, so we did chain 3, now 3 double crochets. All right, and I don't like the look of that. So if you ever don't like the look of one of your stitches, I think I split that stitch. So splitting stitches means you've your crochet hook caught in the middle of the fibers. All right, it looks messy. So just go back and redo it if that ever happens. Some yarn is easier to split than others. So if you're ever snagged on your yarn or gone through the fibers, it'll just look messy. Just take that stitch out and redo it. All right, so that is our corner that we finished. All right, so let's go into our last side. Now, this is where we did our beginning chain right here. All right, so when we get to this space, we're only going to be doing 2 double crochets, and this one's going to count as our last one. Okay, so we're going to do 3 double crochets into this first chain space, first side space. All right, so we did 3 double crochets in that side space. And now this is our last side space, and we've already done our chain 3 that counts as our last double crochet. All right, so we're only needing 2. because we're going to slip stitch to that last, that chain 3 is going to count as our last one. So again, we're going to be going in at the top of that stitch. We did chain 3, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3. And so we know where we're going, into the top of this stitch. We're going to insert our hook right in the center of that. You want to get right in the center. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get into the center, but just do your best to get into the center of that stitch. And you're going to, actually we're going to change color here too. So we've gone into that stitch. We're just going to leave our hook for a second. We're going to cut and leave a tail to weave in our ends. And we're going to pick up a new color. So we're going to move that color out of the way. And the next color that we're going to do here is, I think we're going to do this color. I think I've decided I want this color next. All right, so is this going to be the end? It'd be great if it was. Yeah, looks like this is the end. I'm trying to see what this is. No, wait a minute. That is not the end. Is this? All right, this is a pullout. So this is the other end that we don't want. All right, this is where we're pulling out. This is a beautiful color. This one is dark teal. It's a big twist in dark teal. I don't even know if they have this color anymore. It might be one of the discontinued colors. You will find that yarn colors come and go. So if you have a favorite yarn, you might want to buy a lot of it, because every few years they change the colors. All right, we've already cut our yarn for our previous color, and we're going to make sure we leave a tail to sew in our ends for our new color. All right, so we've already inserted our hook here in the top of our chain 3. So we're going to make sure that we leave at least 5 inches to do our tail. So you're just going to hook your yarn and just pull it through that chain, and then you're going to pull it through the loop, the last loop there that was on our hook. So then you're going to tie, and if you don't have enough, just pull your new yarn. Make sure you have plenty to tie in your ends, and I'm just going to knot 2 knots there. And it's on the back, so we will just clean that up later, weaving in our ends. All right, so we're always going to start a new row with a chain 3. So we chain 3. Okay, and because the last chain 3 on the beginning of our previous row counted as the last stitch in our 3 cluster here, this chain 3 is going to count as the first double crochet in this cluster. All right, so that counts as the first one, so we're going to put 2 double crochets right after that in that same side space. See how that looks? All right, so the previous row was the last stitch, and this one is the first double crochet. All right, it's alternating back and forth. So if you ever get confused, look at where that chain was in the previous row, and that will help you. It's going to keep alternating. Okay, so we've done our 2 double crochets, so we have 3. This counts as the first one, so 1, 2, 3. We're going into the next side space with 3 double crochets, and we're just letting our ends hang in the back, because we will sew them all in later, and it's not going to be too big of a deal. Okay, so we just continue, and this row should have, I think, 5 side spaces, if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. All right. So this is the end of this side that we have so far. We're going to do the rest at the end. We're going to turn our work. We're going to go into a corner with 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, all right, so every corner is, I just split my work there. So every corner is 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. so that's our corner. All right, when we turn our work, here's our work. We're going to have all these side spaces, so we're going to put 3 double crochet in each side space. And let me know in the comments how I'm doing. Do you like this, my tutorials? Do I go too fast? Do I go too slow? Am I easy to follow? All right, so we just came out of our corner. So we're going to go and do 3 double crochets in each one of these chain spaces. I really love this color. This is a beautiful color. This dark teal. And I'm not sure if it's still available. All right, so that is the last side space. That's what your sides should look like. All right, so we're turning into our corner. So here's our next corner, and I'm going in here with 3 double crochet. Chain 3, 3 double crochet. All right, that's our corner that we just finished. All right, so here is our next side. Again, we're going to put 3 double crochets into each of these 5 side spaces. Every row that we go, a new row is going to have an extra side space. 3 double crochet into each side space. And I had one of my viewers ask about tension, what tension is. So tension is the tightness or looseness of your stitching style, all right? So how you crochet. You might be a very tight crocheter, or you might be a very loose crocheter. Either one is fine, but you want to always be tight or always be loose in most situations. And if you cannot adjust your tightness and something is too tight, you can go up a hook. If something is too loose and you can't adjust your tension to be tighter, you can go down a hook. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides there, spaces. We're going to turn our work. We're going to be making a corner. Here's our corner. All right, we're going to be putting 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3 double crochets. And then we're going to go chain 3 and then 3 double crochets. All right, so that's our corner. All right, we're going to into another side. So we're going to put 3 double crochets into each one of these 5 side spaces. 3 double crochets into each space. If you're ever worried you split your yarn, just redo that stitch. It's very easy to split your yarn and get hooked on your yarn. All right, next space, let me get out some yarn here. Next space, 3 double crochets. Three double crochets in the next side space. And one more. 3 double crochets in the last side space. Okay, and we're at another corner. All right, so we're going to be continuing into this next corner with chain 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. All right, so there's our 3 double crochet. We're going to chain 3. I'm going to turn our work, 3 double crochets. All right, there's our corner. All right, when we turn our work, there's our next side that we're going to do. There's 5 side spaces. We're going to do 3 double crochets into each of those side spaces. If you ever like mess up on a stitch, just redo it. All right, next side space, 3 double crochets. I just love this color and the feeling of this yarn. It is so soft. The Big Twist is one of my favorite yarns. All right, here's our last side space right here. All right, and now we're going into another corner. So we finished this side and we're going into this corner right here with 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochet. All right, we finished that corner. All right, and here's another side. So we're going to have 5 side spaces where we're going to put 3 double crochet into each side space. Okay, one more side space here. Okay, and we finished this side. All right, so now we're going to be doing this last corner. All right, so we're going to put 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. All right, so there's our last corner that we did 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. All right, so here's our last side where we're going to meet up here. And again, this one is complete because we've done a chain 3 that counts our first one, and then we've got 2 double crochets after that. So that cluster is complete for that space, but we have 2 other spaces here that we need to put 3 double crochets in. All right, and we're going to connect with a slip stitch up on the top of this 3rd chain. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3. So at the top of this chain, we're going to insert our hook, and we're not color changing here. We're keeping the same color yarn. So just insert it into that top of that chain space. All right, so we're hooking our yarn, we're bringing it through that stitch, and then we're bringing it through the loop on our hook. All right, so there it is. And I'm going to leave it at there. And the next thing we're going to do is go into the next row. So we're going to chain 3. And because this one was the first double crochet of this cluster, this one is going to be at the last double crochet. So we're going to go right into that next space with 3 double crochets into that next space. And I'm going to end this video here so it's not super long to go all the way around again, but I will pick you up on the next video. But this chain 3 that we did at the beginning, that's going to count as the last chain 3, last double crochet of this cluster that we're going to do over this hole. There's going to be 6 holes once we get up here. It's going to be 6 side holes. I was scaring myself there. But we know that we have 6 sides and 6 corners here, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 sides, 6 corners. And if you fold your work, turn your work up like this, fold it in half, you will see that your cardigan is growing. All right, if you wanted to make a baby size one, then you're just about done if you use smaller yarn. Isn't that so cute? So this is going to be continuing to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And again, you're going to have to make whatever you make on this side, you're going to have to make another one. You're going to make it the same exact way. It's just we're going to sew it together on this side. And so we're going to have 2 sides butting up side by side. Okay, so guys, I hope you have been able to follow this tutorial. And we will pick you up on the next one and continue. Thanks, guys.